we are running short of time, we'll go to the next speaker, Dr. Mansif Khairallah. He's going to talk about optical coherence tomography in posterior uveitis.
Thank you very much. As you know, optical coherence tomography has caused the most important change in the diagnosis and management of chorioretinal diseases, including posterior uveitis, and this technique, this non-invasive technique, provides in vivo non-contact high-resolution optical section of the vitreous, retina, RPE, choroid, and optic nerve head based on the principle of low coherence interferometry. Advances in OCT technology, many advances, very important advances from the time domain OCT introduced in 1991 to the most recent devices, including EDI OCT and swept source OCT, allowing better analysis of retinal structures and choroidal analysis. As you know, the most recent devices allow us to analyze the retinal microstructures very nicely, and you can see here the anatomic landmarks in the spectral domain OCT, and you can see all structures, we can see all changes in these structures. So in uveitis, in our everyday practice, the spectral domain OCT is very important, essential tool in the assessment and monitoring of macular edema, evaluation of other macular changes, assessment and monitoring of chorioretinal inflammatory lesions, the morphological assessment of the choroid, and OCT may also be used to grade vitreous inflammation. Detection and quantification of macular edema on spectral domain OCT, and macular edema can be classified as mild macular edema, moderate macular edema, or marked severe macular edema based on the degree of macular thickening in the central part of the fovea. There are correlation between the central foveal thickness and visual function, and CFT significantly correlated with visual acuity, microperimetry, and multifocal ERG. A 20% change in the central foveal change may predict more than a 10-letter in ETDRS chart change in visual acuity, and this is used as a clinically magnified threshold for change in central foveal thickness in clinical practice and clinical trials. OCT versus fluorescein angiography. In most patients with uveitis, there is agreement between macular thickening on OCT and macular leakage on fluorescein angiography. However, there may be disagreement between OCT and fluorescein angiography, macular thickening without fluorescein angiography leakage, or macular leakage without macular thickening. So, fluorescein angiography and OCT should be used as complementary rather than redundant tools. Classification of macular edema based on OCT findings. Macular edema on OCT may be diffuse or sponge-like pattern, cystoid macular edema, macular edema associated with exudative retinal detachment, and macular edema associated with the periretinal membrane or vitreoretinal traction. OCT is a very important tool for the monitoring of response of macular edema to treatment. And as you can see, macular edema before and after treatment with periocular triamcinolone acetonide or systemic corticosteroids, and we can document the resolution of macular thickening following treatment. Prognosis of macular edema based on OCT changes. The factors predictive of poor visual outcome include the presence of cystoid changes in outer plexiform and inner nuclear layer and the presence of epiretinal membrane. These are the two main prognostic factor for poor visual recovery. The presence of exudative retinal detachment on OCT does not worsen the outcome in patients with exudative retinal detachment associated with macular edema. There is a lower initial visual acuity but higher rates of macular edema resolution and improvement in visual acuity. Prognosis and potential for visual recovery. Alteration of the outer layers, mainly the loss or disruption of the ellipsoid zone, was found to be associated with worse visual acuity and increased risk of macular atrophy. The loss or disruption of the cone outer segment tips line was also found to be correlated with poor visual acuity outcome. However, the status of the external limiting membrane was not found to be associated with changes in visual acuity. The OCT in the evaluation of chorioretinal inflammatory lesions. Here a case of toxoplasmic retinal choroiditis. You can see the increased retinal reflectivity and thickening at the level of the retinal lesion with a posterior shadowing, the presence of subclinical exudative retinal detachment, thickening of the posterior hyaloid and hyperreflective vitreous dots. All this feature will resolve after treatment, and after resolution of the acute lesion we can see some atrophic changes, sometimes intraretinal cavitations and vitreous changes. So OCT is important to follow the course of focal or multifocal chorioretinal lesions. In patients with retinochoroiditis caused by Candida, endogenous Candida endophthalmitis, you can see the hyperreflective round-shaped lesions with full thickness retinal involvement, or the involvement of the inner retina, extension up to the vitreous, and the presence of preretinal hyperreflective lesions. And this is a pattern. This pattern is highly suggestive of diagnosis of Candida endophthalmitis. In patients with retinal infiltrates, like in Behçet uveitis or in some other infectious diseases, here the presence of the inner retinal hyperreflectivity. So the hyperreflectivity involves the inner part of the retina with or without posterior shadowing. And you can see after resolution of the retinal infiltrates, the absence of visible scar, the presence of inner retinal atrophy on spectral domain OCT, and the focal retinal nerve fiber defect with corresponding visual field loss. In patients with mutes, OCT is very useful in confirming the diagnosis of mutes. OCT will show this eruption of the ellipsoid zone, irregularities of the RPE layer, the presence or hyper-reflective material resting on the RPE and extending anteriorly, and 6 months later, in this case, you can see the near complete restoration of the outer layers, and in particular with the restoration of the ellipsoid zone with improvement in visual acuity, in this case of mutes. OCT, very useful in the evaluation of APM-PPE with the presence of hyper-reflectivity in the photoreceptor layer, alterations in the outer retinal layers with underlying back scattering, and you can see the improvement with the improvement of the anatomic changes with some persistent changes, and 1 month later with improvement in visual acuity. OCT, very useful in the diagnosis and monitoring of patients with acute VKH. OCT nicely shows multifocal exudative retinal detachment, hyperreflective subretinal material, the presence of this typical subretinal septa, and the presence of retinal RPE fold, choroidal thickening on EDI OCT or on swept source OCT, and you can see the resolution of abnormal acute finding after initiation of treatment. OCT may help you differentiate between two different important diseases, acute VKH and central serous chorioretinopathy. And as you know, high-dose corticosteroids are required in VKH. Corticosteroids are contraindicated in central serous chorioretinopathy. The differential diagnosis between these two conditions is of utmost importance for treatment and prognosis, and OCT will help you make the difference in addition to clinical findings, fluorescein angiography, and ICG angiography. Inflammatory choroidal neovascularization, OCT will help in the diagnosis and monitoring response to treatment of inflammatory choroidal neovascularization, as you can see in these two cases of inflammatory choroidal neovascularization. Let's move to OCT angiography. As you know, this is a new, non-invasive, new method to allowing the mapping of the retinal and choroidal microvasculature, and applications of OCT angiography in posterior uveitis mainly include retinal vasculitis, inflammatory diseases with choriocapillaris involvement, and inflammatory choroidal neovascularization. We performed a study on Behçet uveitis, and OCT angiography was found to be better than fluorescein angiography in detecting and characterizing perifoveal microvascular changes, and in this study, the deep capillary plexus was found to be more severely involved than the superficial capillary plexus. OCT angiography in this case of rickettsial retinitis, and you can see that OCT angiography allowed us to make a diagnosis of occlusive retinal vasculitis. OCT angiography showed areas of capillary non-perfusion, and area of capillary non-perfusion became more evident after resolution of the acute retinal lesions.
1 minute more.
Another case of infectious disease, this is a case of West Nile virus infection with multifocal choroiditis and a suspicion of occlusive vasculitis, and as you can see, with OCT angiography, we could confirm the diagnosis of associated occlusive retinal vasculitis with areas of capillary hypoperfusions, mainly involving both the superficial and deep capillary plexus. OCT angiography is very useful in the diagnosis and monitoring of choriocapillaritis, and this is a case of AP and PPE with multifocal hypointense area on OCT angiography, and you can see the significant improvement of choriocapillaris flow reduction 1 month after initiation of treatment. OCT angiography and choroidal neovascularization. This is a case of PIC associated with CNV, diagnosis of CNV confirmed by OCT angiography, and OCT angiography was useful in the monitoring of response to treatment. So in conclusion, OCT plays a major role in the diagnosis and management of uveitis. OCT is the gold standard for the diagnosis of macular edema and other macular changes, and the new and future advances in OCT will allow a more precise evaluation of uveitis, and OCT angiography can provide useful information on structural and flow changes in the deep and superficial capillary plexus and in the choriocapillaris. Thank you.